It's CCSD Today, your insider's guide to the Charleston County School District. This week, we get an exclusive look at Academic Magnet High School. Hear from Principal Catherine Spencer. Then, we'll talk with some students doing amazing work. CCSD Today starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Andy Pruitt and welcome to the newest edition of CCSD Today. I'll be your host for this episode, and we are here at Academic Magnet High School on the Bonds-Wilson campus in North Charleston. This chapter of CCSD Today is all about AMHS. Coming up in the show, you'll hear from the first-year principal, Catherine Spencer, and we'll also hear from two students who are on an amazing journey with their academic and overall life journey. So keep it here on CCSD Today. We'll be right back.
The law firm of Young Clement Rivers has been serving the Charleston Low Country since 1968. All of the lawyers of Young Clement Rivers are proud to be partners with the Charleston County School District. We're convinced that the hard work of the school district employees and staff prepares our young people to face the challenges of the future. We look forward to continuing our partnership and in helping the school district to meet its standard of excellence.
And welcome back. We are now inside Academic Magnet High School, and I'm joined by the principal of Academic Magnet, Catherine Spencer. Principal Spencer, thanks for joining us today. So many great things to talk about here at Academic Magnet, but I think first, I want people to know a little bit about your background, because I remember when I read your press release last year, your academic background, your educational background really stands out because of all the experience you bring from outside the country. So, kind of take us through that, your experiences overseas, and what then led you back here to being here at Academic Magnet.
Absolutely. It has been a pleasure and an honor to have a very exciting educational career both in the U.S., in South Carolina, and in Oregon, as well as abroad in both Egypt and Mexico. And I was also very privileged and fortunate to be in two absolutely wonderful schools, the Modern English School in Cairo and the American School Foundation in Monterrey, Mexico, that were very, very high-performing schools, similar to Academic Magnet, a similarly motivated, highly interested, highly engaged clientele, both students and parents and teachers. So that obviously prepared me for considering Academic Magnet. The wonderful thing about being abroad is that truly the world is open to you, and I had the opportunity to visit about 50 countries during my 10 years overseas, which is absolutely the best education for me or anyone that I could ever possibly recommend. And what that has done, has given me an opportunity to think in terms of when you're overseas, you're bringing America to the world, and you're a role model, not just for American education, but also for American values. And what brought me back to Charleston, or to the U.S. very specifically, was Academic Magnet. When I saw the advertisement for this position for the principal of this school, I thought to myself, if I'm ever coming back, this is the moment, because this is the school. And that's exactly why I'm here. And it's kind of a reverse role. Instead of perhaps bringing America to the world, now is my opportunity to bring the world back to the U.S. at a time when I think global leadership, global awareness, global understanding is more critical than ever.
Those experiences you mentioned, working with such high-level students, again, you're here now at Academic Magnet working with that certain level of student, and then the support that they have from their parents. What is it specifically that you really have to be prepared for from your position as an administrator to interact and challenge and encourage these types of students?
You have to be on their level. You have to engage and be excited about the talent and the commitment and the dedication that not only the students bring to the table, but the teachers and their parents bring as well. If you're not as excited about that level of rigor and that level of development and that level of motivation as they are, the party's over. And I am a great believer in the talent, the abilities of all of our students, but particularly the students that aspire to be at Academic Magnet. They have already decided at a fairly early age that they're directed, they're motivated, they're prepared, and they want to take on a challenge that is a step above their peers. And I have to be ready to support that on every level, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. They're for them. I love the fact that my office is literally a fishbowl, a glass bowl in the middle of the school, centralized in the school, and we are a merry-go-round of students, teachers, interaction all day long, great ideas, wonderful opportunities to engage and interact at the highest levels with students.
Now the title of this high school, or the name of this high school, can be a little bit misleading because when you hear Academic Magnet, you only think books, you only think academics. But obviously the students here are so much more than just into their academics. And from your perspective, what do you really feel they excel at beyond the books, beyond the grades? I know that Academic Magnet has a very is really intentional about being involved with the community. So can you kind of go into detail about the different things that these students are involved with when it comes to either it's extracurricular or involvement in the community?
Of course. Leadership is everything here, whether that's academic leadership, leadership in service, leadership in athletics, in the arts, because our students do have opportunities to interact in all of those areas. And the fact that they are willing to go above and beyond their academic sort of blinders makes them very, very valuable for college admissions officers. You know, no longer are we just looking at the GPA, the APs, the norm reference test scores. College admissions officers want to know about impact. What are the students doing in the community, in the school, in their state, in the world for impact, whether that's on a research project, whether that's in a community service project, whether that's in a world service project. And our students display that day in and day out. You know, just for instance, 75% of our students participate in competitive athletics here. Balance. A lot of our students, you're going to be talking to some of them today, participate not only in sports, but have wonderful associations in the arts communities, whether that's in music or whether that's in visual arts. We have service projects that literally span this globe, from Haiti to Guatemala, from right here at North Charleston Elementary School. That is the beauty of Academic Magnet. Character counts here, and that, I think, is a message that we really want to deliver more and more. We don't just expect you to be the top in academics. We expect you to be the top in character, and that means service and leadership.
And I know that your mission, and a lot of people who support Academic Magnet's mission, is to make sure that everybody in Charleston County understands this is a school that everyone is welcome to come to. Obviously, it may not be a school for everybody, but there's a process that we are trying to let everyone know about. If this is something that you're interested in as a parent or as a student, there's a process that you can be developed and have the opportunity to apply here.
Absolutely. This is what breaks my heart. When I am out in the community and I talk to some parents who don't even have Academic Magnet on their radar. What's that? Who's that? You mean my child has an opportunity to go to a school like Academic Magnet? On the other hand, in some communities, I can go into and see grandparents who walk up to me and say, my grandchild will be at your school in just a few years. So there's this dichotomy of communication and information. You know, we have a disparity here where some of our families do not know that this is an opportunity. And we have to be better about communicating that opportunity, and then, as you suggest, starting a very, very serious preparation program for our students that show talent early on, show dedication and motivation, and I'm talking about 4th and 5th grade. That needs to be on your radar then, so those middle school years can really be rich in preparation for what it takes to be successful at Academic Magnet.
And I know that in the past and currently, students that are currently here at Academic Magnet have been part of that outreach process. Can you kind of go into some detail about how students here are trying to encourage all of our community to become part of Academic Magnet, if that's the choice and the path they can follow?
That has really been a push this year, for one thing. We have really engaged with our ambassadors, and particularly our Black Student Alliance, to join us, to come with me and with counselors, with our assistant principal, when we're out in the community at PTA meetings, at open houses, when we are actually advertising the opportunity of Academic Magnet. Our open house for prospective parents and students are conducted by our students, and we have tours where our students are with small groups of prospective students and parents, and we make sure that the students that are interacting, our Academic Magnet students that are interacting, are showcasing the diversity of our student body here and are representing the various middle schools that we have pulled from in the past. Of course, we need to pull from quite a few more.
And finally, Principal Spencer, what do you hope Academic Magnet will be about in a few years? Obviously, there's a rich tradition already established here, and now you've come in, but obviously you have a mission, you have purpose, you have hopes. What do you see? Where do you see Academic Magnet going under your leadership?
I see two things. One of them is the service and leadership component, that character component, which we need to be more overt about expressing. There is a lot going on, but I think we can do more, number one, but we can also demonstrate more, show our community what Academic Magnet is all about on the character front. Secondly, I do think the ante is going to go up in the the research and thesis portion of the program. Right now we have a very, very exciting research and thesis component for our juniors and seniors. Most of our freshmen, sophomores are already starting to think about that. We would like to solidify that so that the quality of our research and thesis process for all students is exemplary. You're going to talk to two students today that are exemplary in that process. They'll talk to you about their thesis and how that really sets them up for success in their post-secondary aspirations, whether that's college, university, and career, or perhaps an avocation. I've actually sat in on some very, very interesting thesis presentations this year. Everything from a look at the difference between the French and English Arthurian legends to the development of a wave park in South Carolina. So it's that diverse, not to mention the kinds of science and technology accolades our students are getting for their research. I'd like to see that more across the board.
Well, this has been great so far to speak with you, Principal Spencer. Thank you very much for taking time to speak with me. We'll be right back to continue the show right here on CCSD Today.
Kids learn it at their own pace, to remediate on their own, see their own results, celebrate their successes right there.
I think it's easier for me to do things like online, like it captures my attention better than like doing it in books.
It's just made it easy. It is. It's made it easy, and the kids like it.
There are a lot of pictures. Sometimes it can be really funny, and some stories are make-believe.
I would never have believed that we would be a school that would be fully, implementing technology in every classroom. So we did it, and it's due to McGraw-Hill.
Welcome back to CCSD Today. I'm now joined by one of the students Principal Spencer was talking about, Kira Adkins. Kira, thanks for stopping by and speaking with us on today's show. You've become one of the faces of Academic Magnet High School this year. It's been probably a fun ride, but a wild ride to see all the attention that's been paid to you for a recent accomplishment. That when you graduate this spring, you will already have your undergrad degree finished, and you'll be going to MUSC's pharmacy school for a graduate degree.
Right.
Pretty exciting stuff. Do you, now that you look back at all the attention, all the media attention specifically that you've received for that accomplishment, and think, wow, what I did really was special? Or do you really think this is just because you were so focused on doing it, this is just par for the course?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. As I was doing it, of course, I was just trying to I had my goal set, so I was just trying to get to my goal. And I think that now we're kind of in the aftermath of it. I'm thinking back and I'm like, wow, not many people would do this, so it is a little special. So I think it's a little bit of both.
You mentioned when you were going through it, you were staying focused and getting the goals done, but When did it become a realistic goal? When did you realize, look, I've got a chance to finish my entire undergraduate degree and leave Academic Magnet High School with a 4-year college degree as well?
Right. So I think I would have to say that transition from sophomore to junior year, because by sophomore year I was just thinking, oh, I can get 1 year of the 2 years of undergrad done. But then whenever I started that summer from sophomore to junior year, I realized, oh, I can actually get more classes done and I could probably knock out 2 years and then I would be done with undergrad. So I would say that time.
This is something that we're seeing more of, not necessarily a 4-year degree done, but the approach to take dual credit courses. From your perspective and experience, now that you've done this, what would you say to students who are considering doing that, the advantages? Obviously one is financial, but beyond that, why do you think high school students should really approach taking dual credit courses?
So I think it's good for maturity, because you really have to sit down and you have to manage your time better, because you're no longer taking high school courses. You're entering into that college level type of class. So I think it helps with maturity and also just building time management skills, and also just kind of getting a little bit of that experience of what you might see in college, because our classes at Magnet might be a little bit different from what you might see at some other college, or just in any high school in general. These courses tend to differ, so I think it just gives you a little taste of what you might experience in the future.
And what, when it comes to the academic and maybe just the overall culture here at Academic Magnet, the academic experiences you have here, what helped you or prepared you for the road that you went on to be on pace to get your undergraduate degree?
Right, so at Academic Magnet, we do have advanced placement courses, which are very similar to college courses. So I think just already having my AP classes, like taking them, I kind of already knew the workload to expect and kind of the difficulty level. So having that done, in addition to playing sports and just having all of this stuff on my schedule, I think it really helped me transition into that, also taking college classes at the same time.
You mentioned playing sports. You're in the midst of your basketball season. I would think it would be kind of overwhelming with your workload academically and then athletics as well, trying to be that well-rounded student that Principal Spencer really hopes to see from all the scholars here. But you're saying it wasn't that overwhelming because you had to, basically you had something to be and some place to be and something to do, right. So you kind of had it balanced out. How did that play out throughout your academic career here at AMHS?
So I definitely had to plan out what classes I would be taking during basketball season, because I couldn't have as full of a course load during the summer, because during the summer I have all this time. So during basketball, I really sit down and I say, well, what can I do during basketball? I know I have practice pretty much every day after school, so I kind of have to look at my schedule and just figure out how much time I have. And then once the season does start, it's just me really figuring out, okay, I need to probably set a schedule for myself every day after school so that way I can stay on top of it, but also enjoy my time with basketball, because I love playing basketball. So it's nice to have that schedule so that way I can stay focused.
And now, looking ahead, you'll be going to school with people 22, 25, yes. 30 years old. What do you anticipate when you go to MUSC in the fall and start that experience?
I really just hope that it'll be a great network. So I've talked to some of the students who are already there in my tours and things, but it sounds like they're all very friendly with each other, and it's more of a support network because everyone's kind of going through the same thing. We all have test on a certain day, and everyone's coming from different areas. So I just
But all of them can drive. Or I mean,
well,
you can drive.
I can drive.
But I'm saying they're like, some of them have families and stuff
yes,
like that.
Right.
So I'm just, how do you anticipate interacting with older people?
Right.
I mean, I know it's not the most overwhelming thing, but some people on the outside might think it is.
Well, I would like to say that I kind of have experience taking classes at Trident Tech. I'm not taking classes with 17-year-olds. I am taking classes with adults. So I've already had a little bit of that experience. And honestly, I do have to say that it has caused me to kind of act a little bit more mature, but I think I can continue what I've learned from these Trident classes to just kind of transition to MUSC and do the same thing.
Last question for you, Kira. What do you hope that your experience that you've been through when it comes to academics, balancing your schedule, the accomplishment of getting an undergraduate degree done while you're still in high school, what do you hope other people around our community see from this and maybe can use that and inspire them in their own academic journey?
Right. So I think a lot of people just feel that you have to be a certain age or you have to have a certain level of just maturity. And I do believe that you do have to have a certain level of maturity, but I don't think it's ever too early to start. I think once you have a plan and you have something that you want to do, you should just go ahead and sit down and try to get it done and see what needs to be done to get it done. I just really think that a lot of people don't start their sophomore year to say, oh, I think I want to go to MUSC when I graduate. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be something, totally different. But I just think that sitting down at that moment and planning it out is really important, because otherwise you're not going to get it done.
Here, Adkins, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing how well you do at MUSC. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Kiva Cares represents a really unique way and an organized way for folks who live here on Kiva to connect, partner, and help those who live in our neighborhood, which includes Johns and Wobble Island.
And the idea was that many, many people who live on Kiva very generously work as individuals in the community. But we felt as a community association we needed to do more in a unified way to be good neighbors. And out of that came the idea of Kiva Cares.
They brought volunteers, but most of all, they brought love. They showed love and they said, we want to be a good neighbor, and they have been a good neighbor to me and to this community.
Kiva Cares quickly jumped on board and was really excited about the idea of supporting the local farmers and supporting the Johns Island community as well.
We're excited about the partnership, and we are in constant communication, updating them on things that we are working on, areas where I continue to see improvement I share with them. And so it's like we are in tune, working together, one common goal, and it's all beginning to come together.
What it means to me to be a part of Kiva Cares is I'm able to do things I wouldn't normally have done on my own. I get the sense of community when I work with them.
We're trying to put good people in touch with organizations that could use their help.
All right, we are now joined by another scholar here at Academic Magnet High School, Ginny Yao, another senior with a lot of accomplishments to go through. Ginny, congratulations on all the success that you've experienced when it comes to science, when it comes to music. And the science is probably where we're focused on a little bit more, because obviously you've received quite a few accolades. And the first one to start off with was your win at the Regional Science Fair last school year that led to going to the National Science Fair in Los Angeles. Break down what it was that you used to win, and overall just what the experience was like, not just winning here, but the opportunity to see so much more when you went to LA.
Right, yes. So the project that I used for the Low Country Science Fair, that Regional Science Fair, was some work that I've been doing ever since sophomore year, basically looking at this specific microtissue called the spheroid, basically a group of stem cells in this spherical construct that will be used for transplantation into the patients of heart failure or heart attack patients who have had death of their actual cardiac tissue. And so for my project, what I basically looked at was looking at the metabolism of these cells, seeing where we can actually enhance and improve the viability of the cells in the spheroid by improving their nutrient availability, as to create more effective systems for cardiac repair and regeneration. And so I basically went through this process with my wonderful mentor at the Clemson MUSC, their high school student bioengineering program, and I essentially created a poster. I submitted the project for the Regional Science Fair, and I was fortunate enough to win, because the year prior to that I submitted with just, I guess, a smaller form of the same project, and I was lucky enough to win third place. But this time I had the opportunity to go on to the International Science Fair in LA, and I think that experience was obviously really great for me to present my own research, but I think what the most rewarding part of that experience was looking at everyone else's research from around the globe, seeing the breadth and the depth of the kinds of materials that other people my age were producing, and just being so prolific in their respective fields. And so from that I really grasped the value and how I guess how grateful I was to have this kind of experience to do this very high-level research, very rare opportunity for a high school student in general, but then to also be able to intermingle and make those connections with other students around the globe who had the similar drive and ambitions that I do in science.
This passion that you have specifically for the project that you've been working on, the support that you've received, where did that come from?
I think, well, my love of science has always been rooted from the start. Ever since I was growing up, I've always loved science, and being in this really supportive environment with my family, actually coming over from China to seek greater academic opportunities in science in America, and then also in my elementary school education, being in these kinds of programs for gifted students, as with SAIL, doing all these cool science projects from an early age, like building circuits for like this mini city, and then also designing like new technologies for environmentally driven purposes has always been, a part of my background growing up. And I basically managed to culture my love of science through, academic programs and like my classes, especially in biology and mathematics, my two, I guess, research interest areas. And that's really helped me to grow and to kind of hone in on my focus and my motivation to keep pursuing these kinds of scientific fields, and then to reach out to the professor at the Clemson MUSC program to kickstart my research process.
And the research and the project that you've done have led to some serious awards from the Siemens Corporation and from Regeneron. Just from, first of all, your perspective, receiving those prestigious honors, how humbling is it to know the consideration others put into the work that you've done?
Oh, definitely. It's incredibly humbling because for my research, I don't necessarily expect any kind of personal reward. I really want to do this for reaching my ultimate goal of what's essentially helping people, and to, I guess, from the dualistic sides of my my science and music interests, healing people from a physical standpoint and also a mental standpoint, and kind of my maternal nature. And so to have that being recognized by outside organizations is really quite gratifying, and seeing that I'm actually making a contribution to this world from my scientific field of study, and to see that also translate into helping the school, because for the Regeneron project, I actually gained $2,000 for the academic magnet to further promote their STEM academic programs. So I split the money up into giving $1,000 to our school math club, of which I am the president, basically funding our competitions and all of our programs that we do throughout the year, and then the other half to the school science club, so that more and more students can, as the years progress, can participate in these kinds of research programs, have these experiences with distinguished scientists around, locally and abroad, and then also participate in these science talent search competitions and research fairs.
You're not just about science, you're also about music, and playing
Yes,
the
sir.
piano. Before we did the interview, Principal Spencer and the teacher librarian here, Susan Haley, mentioned you played at Carnegie Hall.
Yes,
that's quite exciting. But
definitely.
you've also had an amazing experience overseas that kind of lit a fire in you about how to use music to help others. Can you go into detail about that, about your experience overseas and how are you using music back here?
Yeah, I'd love to. So basically, in my sophomore year, I participated in this competition, this concerto music competition, and I basically won an award there. And one of the perks was to actually be able to travel to Russia to perform with a professional orchestra there for a month. And so that was quite, I think, obviously a very gratifying personal experience, being able to bring my craft and perform for a brand new audience overseas. But I think the one thing that really struck me during my experience is that following our performances, we'd be performing in a variety of venues, from the very fancy gilded concert hall to like this rural stage next to a windmill. Actually, that was quite an interesting experience in and of itself. But after every performance, I would see that there'd be this group of little kids always huddled like out backstage, waiting to meet us, and they're eager in anticipation. And what I really saw was that there's quite this disparity in the kinds of art interests that I saw in the young concert goers in Russia and then here in America, because as I was growing up, I rarely saw any other kids my age going to these wonderful concerts and other art museums and just taking in the art around the city, at least in Charleston. And so what I wanted to do was to bring that kind of love back into Charleston and to really galvanize children in the Low Country to seek out the arts, because I've been so very fortunate to have all these experiences, with science and the arts especially, but in really helping to improve my personal capacities. And so I think it'd be really just wonderful for other children in the community to have that kind of experience. So I founded the Fine Arts Youth Outreach Club here at the Magnet, basically creating these kinds of interactive art showcases and art programs where we bring students, artistically gifted students here from the Magnet, to share our collective experiences and our craft with these young children and to really excite them about the wonderful world of art and seeing how they can take that further as, not only something that they can pursue, academically, but also something as a pastime to make them feel, to improve their self-confidence and their self-fulfillment.
Well, Ginny, great talking to you. Again, congratulations on all your success so far.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing what you can accomplish in college as you go forward with your journey in education. That's it for right now. We'll be right back to close out the show here on CCSD Today.
Some problems are tough. Reaching your customers shouldn't be. Blue Wave and Comcast have the creative edge to make you stand out from the crowd and connect with your customers. Whether you need a commercial for television, video for your website, or a custom-made website, we are the easy solution for every advertising problem.
Well, that's all the time we have on this edition of CCSD Today. Thank you for joining us. Special thanks to Principal Catherine Spencer. We can definitely tell Academic Magnet is in good hands with her leadership. And also special thanks to Kira Adkins and Ginny for sharing just part of their amazing stories and what they've accomplished so far. Thanks for watching CCSD Today. I'm Andy Pruitt. We'll see you next time.